Hello, I'm Joel Blackford with Beth Kesset Sabbath Fellowship. I'm asking you what time it is on God's clock. We've finished chapter 1 and chapter 2 and chapter 3. We've gone through the 7 churches. Now we're back into the storyline. We're done with the narrative break, and we're going up to heaven for a fellowship of the elders, and John is invited up there. So I call it a heavenly dean. That's a Hebrew word for judge or judgment or judgment council. Okay? And so he's bringing John to heaven. Why? Why would John be included in this? Who are the coyote? Are they coyotes? Who are the 24 elders? What book? What is the day of the Lord? May we still repent at this point in time? Is there still free will? What are the 7 eyes, the 7 spirits, the 7 horns, the prayers of the saints? What's going on with all of this? And did we miss the rapture from verse 22 of chapter 3? We'll address all of these things as we move through chapter 4. Now, I want to cover this real quick just so you can see that there was no rapture verse. So as we finished chapter 3, we saw, to those who have ears, let them hear what the Spirit says to the Messianic communities. That is Messianic communities. It's not stated again until we get to chapter 22. So a lot happens in the meantime. But is that a rapture verse? As you read that to yourself, do you see some statement that it calls a trumpet to mind or anything like that? No, not really, okay? And so we're going to get to chapter 4 in a moment here, but you're going to see that it isn't really specifically stated there, although I could kind of find something similar to it. So yes, I am Yeshua. I have sent my angel to give you this testimony for the Messianic communities. I am the root and the offspring of David, the bright morning star. The Spirit and the bride say, come. Let anyone who hears say, come. Well, is there a rapture in between? We'll discuss it. Because keep in mind, the rapture would have occurred in chapter either 19 or sooner than that. So whether you're pre-mid or post, it doesn't seem to make sense. So let's go chapter 4, verse 1, and see what's going on actually. Okay. After these things I looked, and there before me was a door standing open in heaven, and a voice, it's singular, there's only one voice, like a trumpet, tekia. In the Greek, that's a selpingos, okay, calling just the elders. That's my opinion, but that's what it would mean because it's singular, okay? And we went through the rules in chapter 1, so you know about this, which I heard speaking with me before said, come up here, and I will show you what must happen after, okay? And that's genesithai, which is to be becoming, procreating, and meta after. So it's definitely after going on there. But there's nothing really that says that people are raptured. It's a singular voice, which means just John is being raptured, we'll call it, calling just the elders too. Okay? So this is what it would look like. He's going up to heaven. This is an old-time picture of it. You can see the coyote, the living beings there surrounding the throne, and John would be up there with the 24 elders. Okay? So one trumpet, these are more rules. We want to go through this just so you're aware. One trumpet blowing, tekia, selpizo, is an ingathering of only the leaders, which applies to a dean, a heavenly judgment council of elders. The word in the Greek sounds like Presbyterians, okay, but it's presbyteros. Some claim that this trumpet announces the rapture. Rather, it announces a judgment council meeting of the elders only, okay? The wedding is beginning, and we're still on the earth. Everything rises and falls on the pre-tribulation rapture for people that believe in that. No other view makes sense. The problem is it isn't there in the text. It looks like this is a judgment council, not a rapture occurring. Okay, Tim is a millionaire. He's made a lot of money off craving the easy way out. Okay? As you enter these tribulations worldwide, ask yourself why God would allow millions of poor, faithful martyrs to die tragic deaths for thousands of years and then rapture the lazy, wealthy, Laodicean ones out prior to the judgments. It doesn't make sense, guys. Okay? So let's continue on. It's a council. It's a dean-type council. It's a judgment council. They're determining what's going to happen and who is worthy to open up the seals. So Daniel describes it 2 different times, and so let's see what he says. As I watched, thrones were set in place. That's a judgment thing when the thrones are set. And the Ancient One took a seat. He takes a seat to make a judgment. His clothing was white as snow. His hair on his head was like pure wool. His throne was fiery flames. You see that type and shadow of Yeshua returning, okay? Seraphim, so the flames are seraphim, which is burning ones, okay? The wheels of a burning fire, ophanim, wheel-like angels, okay? That's what you should see. The stream of fire flowed from his presence. Thousands and thousands ministered to him. Millions and millions stood before him. Then the court, the dean, in the text there. Technically in chapter 7, this is Aramaic, but it's a a dalet and a noon. Okay, so that is Dean, and it was convened and the books were opened. We'll see it one more time as we move through chapter 7. And I'm sorry, it is in Aramaic. It's not technically Hebrew, but here's what it says. He, the beast, will speak words against the Most High and try to exhaust the holy ones of the Most High. He will attempt to alter the seasons and the law, and the holy ones will be handed over to him for a time, 3.5 years. But when the court, the Dean, goes into session, he will be stripped of his rulership, which will be consumed and completely destroyed. Then the kingdom, the rulership and the greatness of the kingdoms under the whole heaven will be given to the holy people of the Most High. Their kingdom is an everlasting kingdom, and the rulers will serve and obey him. Okay. So the bottom line is, it looks like these are the verses that prove what a Dean looks like, and that's what you're seeing in Revelation right now in chapter 4. You are not seeing a rapture, a pre-trib rapture. Getting back to chapter 4, instantly I was in the Spirit, and there before me in heaven stood a throne, and on the throne someone was sitting. Did you see that in Daniel? Sitting means judgment, okay? The one sitting there gleamed like diamonds and rubies, and a rainbow shining like emeralds encircled the throne, surrounding the throne. This is a theophany, okay? Surrounding the throne were the 24 elders, okay? And they were seated on their thrones, okay? They were the presbyteros, okay? And in the Hebrew, I wanted you to see this. They are the Pekadim, and that would be the people that are the chosen ones, the numbered ones. They're very, very important. They're the leaders, okay? And it goes, presbyteros goes right straight back into that word in the Hebrew, okay? And so they are from the Zadokian lineage, the courses of the high priest, and they're dressed in white clothing and wearing gold crowns on their heads, okay? So let's talk about this Hebrew word pikadim or pikad, that's to visit, muster, appoint, okay? Give heed, attention to, frequently doubled. So if you see bakud, it's surely remember, surely remember. Just think of it as a powerful word. And so God is remembering these people and calling them up to heaven for this meeting that's so critical as we head into the judgments of Revelation. So, or it's a commissioner, a deputy, an overseer, a leader. That's what you'll see in the Greek and in the Hebrew with these particular leaders, okay? It's not everybody, it's just the leaders. And David set up the 24 courses. He set up 16 divisions of Eleazar and then 8 divisions of Ithamar, okay? And so we know the 24 matches up with David, and then God uses it up in heaven for judgment councils, okay? So these are theophanies going on here. The first one that we notice is Exodus 19, which is when God gives the Torah to Moses, okay? The 10 Commandments, we'll call it. Then Revelation 4:5, as we are right now. Then 8:5, again, another theophany. Then 11:19 is a theophany. Then 16:18. And so we'll just cite this one. From the throne came forth lightnings, voices, thunderings, and before the throne was 7 flaming torches, which are the sevenfold Spirit of God. In front of the throne was what looked like a sea of glass, clear as crystal. That's a theophany, and that's what we're reading in Revelation there. Okay? So now let's deal with these living beings. Are they coyotes? And who attended to Yeshua when he was done with his time of testing after 40 days? Were they coyotes or were they living beings, which is coyote in the Hebrew? That's what it sounds like, okay? So in the center, around the throne, were 4 living beings, coyote again, they're angels, covered with eyes in front and behind. The first living being was a lion, the second was like an ox, the third had a face like a human face, and the fourth was like a flying eagle. Each of the 4 living beings had 6 wings and covered their eyes inside and out, covered with eyes inside and out. And day and night they never stopped saying, "Holy, holy, holy is Adonai, God of heaven's armies, the one who was and who is and who will be coming and who is coming." So that's like saying Yud, He, Vav, He in the Hebrew. You would know that it was and is and will be. Isaiah describes it differently, another theophany there. In the year of King Uzziah, his death, I saw Adonai sitting on a high, lofty throne. The hem of his robe filled the temple. Seraphim stood over him, and each with 6 wings, 2 for covering his face, 2 for covering his feet, and 2 for flying. They were crying out to each other, saying, "Holy, holy, holy." Okay? More holy than the holiest is holiness of Adonai, Tezvaot, the God of war, of power, mighty. The whole earth is filled with his glory. Kavodo, Male Olam, which means he fills the earth with his glory. Okay? And we sing that every week as we go through our messianic worship. We want to remember that picture of heaven as we get closer to worshiping God. The doorpost shook, and the house was filled with smoke. And I said, "Woe to me, I'm doomed, because I'm a man with unclean lips, living among people with unclean lips. For I've seen with my own eyes the King, the Master of legions, my God." Okay? Back to Revelation, they throw their crowns. Whenever the living beings give glory, honor, and thanks to the one seated on the throne, the one who lives forever and ever, the 24 elders fall down, face forward, before the throne, sitting on the throne, who lives forever and ever, and worship him. They throw their crowns in front of the throne and say, "You are worthy, Adonai Eloheinu, to have glory, honor, and power, because you created all things." Yes, because your will, that they were created and came into being. It's time to take a break. We will finish in just a minute here. So thank you for sticking with me through chapter 4.